Imagine a country where 1 in 3 people you pass on the street is a millionaire, and the average resident is worth over $20 million. A place so expensive that a single parking space costs more than most people's homes, and where $1 million buys you exactly 205 square feet. Monaco generated more millionaires per square mile than anywhere else on Earth. That's about 32% of the population being millionaires today. The secret to this tiny nation's vast wealth is its geography. At merely 0.78 square miles, Monaco is the world's second smallest country, yet it hosts the highest concentration of ultra-wealthy individuals on the planet. And this wealth was created strategically. But strategic doesn't always mean ethical. This is the story of Monaco's wealth. A century and a half before Dubai and Singapore competed to become tax havens for the global elite, there was one place that everyone associated with strategic geography and concentrated wealth, and that was Monaco. The fact that it would become the world's most concentrated wealth hub was unpredictable, because its founder, Francois Grimaldi, seized the fortress in 1297, dressed as a Franciscan monk, through what we might today call corporate espionage. His real achievement was recognizing strategic value where others saw a small rock jutting into the Mediterranean. He understood that location and geography matter more than size. Now, the Grimaldi dynasty's control wasn't uninterrupted. They lost the fortress just 4 years later in 1301, recaptured it in 1331, and finally secured permanent rule when they purchased Monaco outright in 1419. Even then, France annexed the principality during the Revolution from 1793 to 1814. But by 1861, when the Grimaldis made a decision that would permanently alter Monaco's trajectory, they had been the ruling family for over 4 centuries. Prince Charles III had to make a choice that would either save or destroy his principality. That tiny fortress would become a permanent nation, and the geography would become the foundation of unprecedented wealth creation. During its early existence, Monaco was just another minor principality. It would maintain diplomatic relations, navigate carefully between France and Italy, pursue strategic marriages. I mean, all in all, nobody gave Monaco a second thought. The only trait that political observers noticed was that it possessed an extraordinary natural harbor for such a small territory. Anyway, its first transformation was quite underwhelming. Monaco lost 95% of its territory to France in 1861, only leaving the 0.78 square miles we know today. But Prince Charles III had a plan. There was a vision to take Monaco out of a life of modest Mediterranean irrelevance. You see, he recognized what the geography offered, and then he decided to ask himself, what unique advantage could never be replicated with Monaco's geography? And this radical shift in economic strategy, Prince Charles III took his first step into transforming a dying principality in 1863. He opened the Casino de Monte Carlo that he launched with private investors, bringing in the legendary Francois Blanc to manage operations. Their casino opened its doors in 1865, though the iconic building visitors recognize today, designed by Charles Garnier, wasn't completed until 1878. Their casino attracted wealthy Europeans and created a new economic model. Now, this was a very smart move. You see, Europe's wealthy class was just beginning to seek leisure destinations. Furthermore, Monaco's proximity to the French Riviera and Italian coast meant that it had excellent transportation networks and quickly made it a hub for luxury tourism. In 1869, Prince Charles III and his partners had earned enough capital to abolish income tax entirely. Now, there's an important caveat here. French citizens who moved to Monaco after 1957 are still required to pay French income tax, a condition imposed by President de Gaulle in 1963 after he blockaded Monaco over concerns about French tax evaders. This affects about 22% of Monaco's residents today, as the French are the largest foreign nationality group. But for everyone else, Monegasques and non-French residents, the zero tax policy has held strong for over 150 years. Even at an early stage, Monaco's leadership was strategic. A mere decade after the casino opened, Monaco established itself as a place where the rules were different. And then they went on to establish a reputation as a financial safe haven. The ruling family understood that wealthy individuals don't just want luxury, they want legal protection. So they approached the wealthiest families across Europe. You see, these families needed zero tax liability to preserve generational wealth, but on one condition: and that was that Monaco would have to remain politically stable under French protection. And this turned out to be a pretty good move. France's military guarantee and Monaco's financial independence perfectly complemented each other's needs. Finally, a true symbiotic relationship was built that would pave the way for Monaco's transformation into a wealth concentration machine. Now it's 1910, and in just a few short decades, Monaco had become a playground for Europe's elite. But this was not enough for the Principality. It wanted more. Monaco's leadership recognized something profound. They understood that geography combined with policy could create what economists call artificial scarcity, and they used this ruthlessly. Monaco had a strategy that would set it apart. You see, unlike other territories, Monaco's government focused on wealth attraction, not wealth creation. Monaco's obsession with maintaining exclusivity and limiting supply was well known amongst European aristocrats. However, their ambition extended beyond just being a luxury resort. They wanted to become essential. To achieve this, they invested heavily in infrastructure and policy. They aggressively brought in the best urban planners and put them to work in precision-engineered city-state optimization. Monaco even took on land reclamation projects that others thought were impossible. They acquired territory from the Mediterranean Sea itself, building on water. Now, this was considered unfeasible due to engineering challenges, but Monaco's leadership knew that enough money put in the right place can solve any problem. They devised methods to literally create land from the sea, turning what was once impossible into massive real estate profit. So this approach, finding value where others saw limitations, became a hallmark of Monaco's rise to becoming one of the world's most expensive addresses. Now, this wasn't the whole story behind Monaco's success, because beyond strategic urban planning, they sought to dominate a very specific market. They perfected the wealth concentration model. They rapidly implemented policies to attract ultra-high net worth individuals, a strategy that forever shaped the future of tax haven competition. In the decades after World War II, Monaco attracted thousands of the world's wealthiest individuals. They were systematic in their approach. They offered what they claimed were competitive advantages. But in truth, Monaco's policy framework was specifically designed to extract wealth from other nations' tax bases. Monaco's sheer exclusivity gave it an unprecedented advantage. They negotiated special status with France, guaranteeing political protection while maintaining fiscal independence. These deals drastically reduced risks for wealthy residents, and things became even more advantageous. Monaco's influence stretched further when European integration accelerated. It created opportunities to maintain tax advantages while accessing European markets. Yet the international community was not in Monaco's favor. International pressure mounted over tax evasion concerns. Despite Monaco's ability to maintain independence, Monaco learned that even the smallest nation couldn't completely ignore pressure from a united Europe. Monaco's system was controversial. It was often likened to a magnet pulling wealth from productive economies, with money flowing not from industries, but from people escaping taxation. But even though Monaco didn't have international favor, it was still dominating. By the early 2000s, Monaco's wealth concentration was virtually complete. Monaco hosted approximately 30 to 40% of its population as millionaires or billionaires. However, what Monaco's leadership didn't recognize was that their position faced new challenges. This overwhelming concentration, coupled with scandals involving money laundering, put intense pressure on European regulators. They began passing tax information exchange agreements and outlawing complete banking secrecy. Monaco had a policy of extreme privacy, something that encouraged journalists to investigate its financial systems even more deeply and expose its role in global wealth inequality. The international scrutiny continued to intensify in the 2010s and 2020s. The EU and OECD demanded greater financial transparency. It led to Monaco signing tax information exchange agreements with dozens of countries. Eventually, Monaco had to adapt from complete secrecy to what they called transparent tax optimization. Now, ironically, this increased transparency was a blessing in disguise for Monaco. The intense pressure of maintaining absolute secrecy had created reputational risks. Journalists once described Monaco as one of the world's most problematic tax havens. They noted how its policies created what seemed like legalized wealth extraction. Now, this is where I need to do some speculations. Monaco's strategic use of geography, the way it attracted wealth away from productive economies, the way it enabled tax avoidance for the ultra-wealthy, all of that contributed to global wealth concentration. But I think this was also a turning point. because at this juncture, we notice a change in Monaco's approach. You see, now they started to focus on something profoundly different, and that was sustainability and social responsibility. This shift marked the beginning of Monaco's modern reinvention. Established through the 2000s and 2010s, this marked a transformative shift from pure wealth attraction to sustainable luxury. The strategy focused on three main areas: environmental leadership, cultural preservation, and responsible finance. Monaco's commitment to environmental issues was especially profound. Their support helped establish the Prince Albert II Foundation and Marine Research Institutes. This funding played a crucial part in developing renewable energy initiatives and ocean protection programs. Additionally, Monaco revolutionized how small states could lead on climate issues and founded some of the world's most ambitious carbon neutrality programs. Recognizing that pure tax arbitrage was unsustainable, Monaco championed for environmental responsibility and green finance. They established themselves as hosts for environmental conferences and sustainable investment forums. This commitment set the stage for a more strategic approach. Instead of being purely a tax haven, Monaco preferred to be seen as a leader in sustainable luxury. Monaco has worked to establish itself as a venue for impact investing and ESG finance initiatives. Through the Prince Albert II Foundation and various sustainable investment forums, it has created platforms connecting wealth preservation with environmental responsibility. While not a major global ESG finance hub like London or Luxembourg, Monaco has carved out a distinctive niche in sustainable luxury and environmental advocacy among ultra-high net worth individuals. Monaco has worked to rebrand itself, distributing its message through global media channels. In fact, so much effort went into this rebranding that Monaco's modern image barely resembles its reputation from 30 years ago. But the core model remains fundamentally unchanged. Now, having said all of this, were these environmental initiatives really done out of genuine concern? I think there's probably a bit more of a complex answer to that. There are several reasons one might do this: reputational management, regulatory pressure, building legitimacy beyond pure wealth extraction. One can never really examine the strategic calculations of these political entities. All we can do is analyze based on the evidence. But at the end of the day, one cannot deny that Monaco still functions primarily as a wealth concentration mechanism. Even more than a century after establishing its tax-free model, Monaco remains the world's most exclusive address. According to real estate data, they hold property prices averaging over $50,000 per square meter, although some estimate prime locations exceed $100,000 per square meter. Not only this, Monaco continues to attract new billionaires. Amongst the most prominent Monaco residents in the 21st century are Formula One drivers, tech entrepreneurs, and hedge fund managers. Their combined net worth exceeds hundreds of billions. And Monaco's geographic model has endured remarkably well. Yeah, international pressure has forced some transparency, but the fundamental approach remains intact. Monaco wasn't alone in discovering this model. Other jurisdictions like Switzerland, Singapore, and the Cayman Islands developed their own tax optimization strategies independently, often drawing from different legal traditions. The Cayman Islands, for instance, never imposed taxes to begin with, while Singapore's 1967 model emerged from post-colonial economic development. Dubai's tax-free status actually predates Monaco's modern transformation, going back to around 1905. What's remarkable is that multiple jurisdictions, working independently, all converged on similar strategies, proof that the combination of strategic location and favorable tax policy creates powerful economic advantages. Now, the most important question is, what's the secret to Monaco's lasting success? The answer lies in their strategic use of geography and legal frameworks. You see, the secret to Monaco's enduring wealth concentration had to do with exploiting geographical advantages that other nations cannot replicate. Monaco perfected what we might call a territorial scarcity model, leveraging extreme space constraints and strategic location to create financial advantages that transcend normal economic rules. Central to Monaco's strategy is this territorial scarcity combined with policy optimization. This territory cannot be easily expanded. It creates artificial scarcity that drives property values, tax advantages, and exclusivity. Additionally, Monaco employs what amounts to a high barrier entry system. It combines zero direct taxation with extraordinarily high indirect costs through property prices. It's complex, but to put it simply, it creates a filtering mechanism that ensures only the ultra-wealthy can afford to benefit. Let's take an example. Let's say you're a successful entrepreneur who sold your company for $100 million. If you maintain residency in a high-tax country, you might pay 30 to 40% on investment returns. But if you establish residency in Monaco, your direct tax burden drops to zero. However, you must purchase property at $50,000 plus per square meter. Upon establishing residency, you benefit from tax-free investment income, while Monaco benefits from property transaction taxes and VAT. But it isn't just Monaco's tax policy that has been long-lasting. Monaco stands as one of several successful wealth concentration models that have shaped global wealth management. Multiple jurisdictions have pursued similar strategies, combining favorable tax treatment with exclusive residency requirements, including Caribbean islands and Middle Eastern city-states. Monaco's approach, developed over 150 years, demonstrates how territorial scarcity and policy optimization can create enduring competitive advantages in attracting mobile capital. While Monaco didn't necessarily pioneer every element of this model, it has certainly perfected the formula. Also, it's no surprise that Monaco's economic model has been used as a blueprint. Initially focused on European aristocracy, Monaco's approach has shifted toward accommodating global billionaires regardless of origin. Monaco's residency policies help facilitate wealth preservation across generations. It played a role in creating structures that allow families to maintain wealth outside their countries of origin. Now, today, global wealth management continues to be influenced by Monaco's model alongside other tax-advantaged jurisdictions, such as Switzerland and Singapore. However, this often aligns with wealth preservation, rather than wealth creation. Through strategic positioning, Monaco maintains its position, attracting and concentrating global wealth. It's no surprise that critics argue that these systems often undermine national tax bases. They cite that tax havens shift wealth away from productive economies, corrupting global development and funding public services. And some might even say that Monaco's approach is fundamentally parasitic. They've been accused of free riding on other nations' infrastructure, education, and legal systems that create the wealth that Monaco then extracts. This strategy has led to international pressure, particularly from the OECD and EU. Critics say that these tax haven models sabotage national fiscal sustainability and wealth equality. So yeah, like I was saying earlier, strategic geography and seemingly neutral policy choices can often serve wealth extraction and inequality. Having said that, it cannot be denied that no matter the broader implications, there are beneficiaries from Monaco's model. The ultra-wealthy who reside there clearly benefit, and Monaco's own citizens enjoy high living standards. Monaco was a master at navigating geography and international law, strategically capitalizing on every advantage within the rules. And when those rules no longer suited its model, it wasn't afraid to adapt just enough to survive. Monaco's approach created a template for wealth concentration that reshaped global finance, leaving a lasting impact on how the ultra-wealthy preserve capital. However, we must take this legacy with a grain of salt, recognizing that there are systemic consequences behind this geographic advantage. While Monaco's model undeniably benefits its residents, it functions within a system that concentrates wealth rather than creates it, a complex case study that defines both the ingenuity and the inequality of modern global capitalism. Now, if you stuck till the end, I want you to leave a Monaco flag emoji in the comments. Also, please do subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. It would mean the world to me. We've got plenty of new and exciting videos coming up that you'll really enjoy. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.